Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're looking at another replay sent in by Derpius Kitty, and he today is going to show us how to play both of the Leopards on Port Novorossiysk. Now, the Leopards in themselves have always for me been the king of high tier, with the 105 L7A3 gun, with their Hesh, with their Heat FS, with their Sabo, their maneuverability and speed. I've always seen them as the top dog. Now, in recent times, we've had the addition of both of the chieftains. We've had the addition of the Type 74. We've also had the addition of the likes of the T55A. So the top dog of top tier 5 is a lot harder to really work out. I would still put the Leopard in the ballpark, up there with the chieftain, but then again, you know, to each their own. People have different opinions of what is the best tank in the game. But the Leopard, with its speed and maneuverability, with its great gun, for me, those are the two cornerstones of a tank which will perform great around the 8.0 BR. Armor doesn't really matter too much. Now you see Derpius Kitty taking a spot behind this pillbox, using it as some cover, and also using it to get to a position near the railroad. Now this is a position I actually talked about way back when I did a map analysis of the Port Novorossiysk, and it's a position that you've always got to check, because if there's even one tank in this area, they're going to be able to cover all three entrances that your team has to the point in the center of the map and to push through. And that is exactly what Derpius Kitty is going to exploit here. He is going to use this position to be able to spot tanks moving across the field using the trees as cover and a few bushes on his tank to make sure that people don't see him while he pushes over. So he's trying to range this guy, gets a decent shot. As you can see, he's using the Hesh on the Leopard. Now, Hesh got a pretty significant buff in the last few updates. I believe it was one of the minor patches after update 1.67. So it seems to be the shot of choice from a lot of people, and also because you have modifications on the Leopard, such as the optical modifications, like the rangefinder, it means that the low velocity of the Hesh shell, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, because you can just range find the enemy, and then you can shoot them anyway, using the rangefinder. And all he's doing is just popping shots from this position, looking at those two entrances where they come out of their spawn and try and get to that central point. Now, unfortunately, right now, the enemy team has taken that central point, but that doesn't mean that Derpius cannot stop the enemies from reinforcing it. He single-handedly can easily just stop any reinforcements getting anywhere near A, and that's exactly what he's doing, and nobody's shooting at him. You can see here he's using the rangefinder to great effect, using that Hesh shell, even though he bounces off the front of, well, not bounce, but you know, doesn't penetrate, we'll say that. The Hesh shell is still able to knock out parts of the gun barrel and a track, immobilizing the T10 and then battering straight through that frontal armor, which is ridiculously strong. Moving around all times just in case somebody shoots him, just to try and stop the enemy from getting a decent shot on him, and also using this little ridge to his advantage, moving slightly up to peek his nose over the ridge so they can't get a shot on his upper or lower glacis or his hull, just so they can see his turret. But as I said, if you don't root out the enemies in this position, this is what will happen to you. An experienced player who knows how to shoot from this position will just be able to absolutely nail you in whatever he's in. Now, in my experience, T32s have used this position, RU251s have used this position, because you kind of need a quick tank to get here in decent time. With the T32, you can use the pillbox, basically do what Derpius did, and you can get here in decent time. But in an RU251, you can basically get here in 2 minutes flat, stopping everyone from moving to C. And I meant to say C before instead of A, I apologize for that. So you've just got to check it. Otherwise, you're just going to see a massacre happen on this map, just from even one tanker. And from this position, you can either move down the railway and actually flank onto A and then into the enemy spawn, or you can just sit here and kill everything. Now, you see Derpius going after a plane because, well, he's annoyed a lot of Russians in this game, and guess what? They're coming for him. So there goes the Leopard, down to an SU series attacker. What a real shame. But then again, if you can't beat him one-on-one, why not try and use superior air advantage to take out Derpius from that position? But he did get the kill, so at least he has that. He has an air kill to his name in the Leopard. So what does he do? Well, he gets in the other Leopard, because why not? This is the Leopard 1. The first one was the Leopard A1A1. If you want to know how to differentiate between them, basically the Leopard 1 has the box on the front of it, which is, I believe, an infrared sight or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but that's the way to differentiate if you're fighting them. Generally, they're not that much different in battle. The Leopard A1A1 has a bit more spaced armor on the front of it. They both have the same gun and they relatively have the same speed, so you're basically fighting the same tank. So don't worry too much about it. Even with that extra armor that the Leopard A1A1 has, it's generally not going to stop anything. It may be kind of annoying against you know, if you're firing Hesh, especially if you've got the spaced armor. So yeah, just take that into account. So he's shown us how to work the railway line and be able to pin the enemy back, so it's time for good old Derpius to go into the town and try and fight one-on-one with these Russians who are trying to push. Now, from this point, the team that he's on, the German team, has not done too well. They've basically been able to push through the town, try and take out some enemies, but overall been quite unsuccessful, which is why you see Derpius here being one of the front runners. We do have a tank which has pushed near to their spawn, which is good. But overall, his team hasn't been that successful at pushing forward. Now, we find a T10 sat on C, so Derpius has a bit of an issue. But then again, he's going to show you exactly how to play something like this. So you stick out your upper glacis, you wait for the T10 to bounce off of it, and then you get a shot into him, hitting his cannon breech, somehow bouncing down into the engine. And now the T10 has two options. He can either die from the side, or he can die from the back, because he either has to extinguish the flame, meaning that Derpius will get his second shot off, or he can maybe fire his gun with a broken breech and blow his own turret off. So Derpius decides to go around the side. I probably would have cautioned and just kept setting him on fire, just because we don't know what's coming out of those corridors, but he takes the risk, it pays off, he's able to take C for his team. Now, as we see, his support from the area of the map which is near the enemy spawn has, well, been eradicated, so we know that there's going to be some Russians coming from there, and also the fact that Derpius is capturing the zone. So therefore they're going to know there's something on this, and since they just know T10 got blown up by a Leopard over here, it's pretty safe to say that it is that Leopard. Now, guess what joins the party again? Another Russian heavy tank. And he bounces another shot off his upper glacis because it's well armored, and for some reason these Russians just can't wait to take the shot. He tracks the heavy tank, but is not able to finish it off. If the heavy tank decides to push forward, or maybe turn, he might be able to get a shot off, but Derpius does something wonderful here. As you can see, he's trying to hit the T10 in a position where the T10 will not be able to turn his gun and hit him, so hit the side of his turret and try and take him out. Now with Hesh, you should be able to do this. It sometimes will go through, so he's aiming for that little angled area, that little flat surface, and he hits it, hits the ammo, blows the heavy tank sky high, meaning that all of the enemies around him have been dealt with. apart from the guys who just took out his allies, which were near the enemy spawn. So he still has to watch out for them, he still has to stay defensive, because if he goes out aggressive, there are 4 areas where he can get shot from, basically the 4 streets that you see in front of you, and obviously he doesn't want to get shot. Who would? By the way, he's done a wonderful job at covering his tank in some bushes. They look absolutely beautiful, very historically accurate, which is great. But as you can see, there's artillery coming down, so people know that he's here, and he just has to stay sharp. Something that may be really damaging to him is maybe an AA like a ZSU just pulling up near him and taking a shot. And then there's just a jet, because why not? Everybody loves MiG-15s, even if they're on the ground. The MiG-15 crashes, which is really random, but there you go, a nice little tidbit. And here is another player, he's in the Shilka. So, luckily, the Leopard Derpius is in, gets to spot the Shilka before he gets turned round. I'm not exactly sure if the Shilka would be able to kill him. It does have 45mm of pen, so maybe it'll be able to go through the sides with its APIT if he has it loaded. So it's good that we took him out of the game. It also means that it gives our flyboys some help, because the Russians have had pretty much air superiority this whole time, which has been Derpius's downfall. Here is another anti-tank vehicle in this game, I would call it, because once again, the ZSU there can definitely go through the front of a Leopard. It's a dangerous vehicle, not too much against aircraft, but pretty much against Leopards. 57mm, you're cutting it pretty close there, but I'm pretty sure you could go through if he had HVAP. If he was using the HVAP round, you're looking at 102mm of penetration. Easily, this Leopard would be in the ground dead. So it takes him out too, which means that there's a little bit of breathing space for him and for his team to push up with him, because as they see him on the point, they know that they can push up and make sure that he's safe and also the game is safe as well. Something that you'll see a lot of the times, especially in these realistic games, is overconfidence when it comes to your teammates. But anyway, he gets shot once again, but it doesn't go in, because look how he's angled his tank. Just like against the T-10s, he's in a perfect position against those end roads to be able to bounce a shot off his upper glacis, putting it at a brilliant angle to do so. This T-10 is looking the wrong way, puts it straight through the front. Good night, sir, taking out all the crew in that. That's 2 more kills. He has done so well at defending this point, just listening for tanks, looking for tanks using the third person camera, and once again, angling the tank, making sure that the main part of his upper glacis is covered, making sure that his turret is covered, using his binoculars to have a look at stuff, and trying to sort out targets. Now he goes forward a little bit here to take out a tank, but it doesn't matter, because guess what? Another SU is back to take him out. What a real shame. He dies twice in his Leopards, and he dies both times to SU attacker aircraft. That one was an SU-6 with the 37s on it. But don't worry, we have a backup. The Leopard A1A1 is back in style after getting taken out by that SU, looking for revenge and a win in this match. His team have pushed up to a decent area, but if they stay in that area and stay defensive, they'll be in a good position. But teams don't do that in War Thunder. For some reason, too many players are way too over-aggressive in this game. And that's why when you look at when... I wouldn't call them professional players, but let's say esport players who play War Thunder play, you'll see them being incredibly defensive and waiting for their aircraft to do stuff. Because that's just how the game is played at the higher level. And that is how Derpius has been playing this as well. Using his armor, even though it's not that substantial, but still using it to great effect. Making it so the enemy has to shoot at really awkward angles at his armor, and also being able to shoot at useless areas of his armor, such as the side of it, where all they can really do is track him. making sure to never let his turret be shot unless he's able to get a shot off back. Something else which is great about the Leopard is the fact that it has wonderful turret traverse and also great stabilization. But anyway, takes another shot, takes out another AA. This is the ZSU 57-2, I believe it is, and that definitely could take him out. That is another one of these Russian anti-aircraft guns, which I wouldn't exactly call them anti-aircraft, they are just anti-tank guns. Sees what looks like to me a T-54, could be a T-55, it's very hard for me to tell from the replay, but takes him out too, and stays defensive. His team are winning. They have the capture points under control. He doesn't need to do anything. He just has to relax and make sure that his teammates are covered from the side, and that's exactly what he's doing, showing how to play 3 positions in this tank on this map, better than I could do in any map analysis. So here's another tank. He takes a speculative shot, not the greatest because he didn't have a ton of the armor, but pulling back, making sure that the enemy cannot shoot him. He gets shot in the back by another enemy, but the game's about to be over, and they finally worked out how to outflank him, but a bit too late, to be honest. So, that's Derpius Kitty. An amazing match. 12 ground kills, 1 aircraft kill, 1 assist, and the crucial base capture, taking it off that T-10M. A wonderful show on Port Novorossiysk. Absolutely well done, mate. And, well, have a look at some more replays that'll be coming this weekend. We're going to do 4 replays from 4 of you lucky people. If you have any replays you want to send in, you know there is a link in the description for it. Go for it. I'd love to see them. I'll see you next time.